Talking about the White House card and how he wasn't offered $8 over $15 million and how he felt that the fight was worth more. So I just wanted to get your response to that, essentially.
Jon Jones tweeted that he was offered not $1 more than...
Jon Jones was never fighting on the White House card. How many times I gotta say this? He was never fighting on the White House card. I literally have done two press conferences talking about this. These guys went out, found everything that they thought was available and possible, and then I picked the fights. There's no way in hell I was putting him on the card, no matter what the money was. Jon Jones was never going to fight on the White House card.
It's not quite the roller coaster of emotions that is the state of Jon Jones's career, because earlier in the week, he was doing a video with Red Corner, and he said he was done. He said his gloves are hung up. In case you missed it, here it is.
My gloves are hung up.
There it is.
I'm chilling these days. You got business Jon Jones. No more fighter Jon Jones. The businessman. You know what I'm saying?
Dana White was then asked about Jon, and in this video, you'll get Dana's reaction to that comment.
What happens when one of the biggest fighters in the world suddenly decides he's done? When he posts a video saying his gloves are hung up and he's walking away from everything? Well, that's exactly what happened this week. And the reaction from the top brass? It was absolutely not what anyone expected. This story involves massive money disputes, broken promises, and a fighter who might actually be serious about leaving the sport forever. Stick around, because the truth about what really went down is way crazier than the headlines. Earlier this week, this elite champion dropped a bombshell video with a major fighting media outlet. He was sitting down, completely relaxed, and casually dropped the bomb. His fighting career was over.
Jon being in attendance, and also Jon then saying his gloves aren't hung up. Take a look.
One says that watching UFC 327 lit a fire in him to compete, and now he's potentially not retired. He's not committing to it.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure if I'm retired or not. I'm just taking it day by day, just trying to kind of figure out my body and how I feel and things like that. I tell you what, being here at the UFC right now definitely is giving me this fire that I haven't felt in a little bit. So it feels very good to be here.
Done. Finished. No more battles in the octagon. He looked at the camera and said something that sent shockwaves through the entire combat sports world. He said his gloves are hung up. He's chilling now. No more fighter mode. Just the businessman version of himself going forward. The video went viral instantly. Millions of views in hours. Everyone was asking the same question. Is he actually serious this time? Because this guy has threatened to retire before. But something felt different about this announcement. Here's where it gets interesting. Just days before hanging up...
And listen, how is that any different than Jon's been in the last 10 years? You know what I mean? The way I always looked at, I used to tell Lorenzo, you'll never be able to build a business with this guy. But when he does show up, it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know about that line. I mean, they made a lot of money and have built big cards around Jon Jones. Like, they put him in the main event of UFC 200. And I would imagine that was long after, you know, he may have said that, because that was long after a bunch of issues Jon encountered.
Dana White's reaction perfectly encapsulates the Jon Jones experience. His gloves, this fighter was apparently in negotiations for a massive fight opportunity. The kind of card that would change everything. We're talking about an event so prestigious that getting invited should feel like a dream come true. But instead of being thrilled, he was furious. The money on the table, completely insulting in his mind. He wasn't offered a single dollar over a certain threshold. That ceiling was $15 million. That's the number that made him feel disrespected. When he heard the offer...
But I feel like Jon Jones really wants to fight. And you remember when we were talking about him fighting on the White House card, and I said, someone needs to ask Jon Jones, is it just the White House card, or do you want to fight? And it seemed like for a moment it was just the White House card. Like if it was, hey, if I'm not getting on the White House card, I'm out. Now I feel like he wants one more fight. And it was great to see him there. And I know Hunter Campbell was at his DBX show on Friday in Miami. It was great to see him there at a UFC event, because I feel like it's been a while since we've seen him in attendance. And I think being around Gable has done some good for him.
It didn't see a dream opportunity. He saw an undervaluation of everything he'd accomplished, of all his legacy, of all his drawing power. And that rejection, that's what triggered the retirement video. But wait, there's a massive twist here. The promotion went out and publicly denied everything, and I mean everything. They held not one, but two separate press conferences specifically to address these claims. The officials sat down in front of cameras and explained their position. They said this fighter was never even supposed to be on that White House card. Never.
I feel like if Alex wins, they may try to do that fight. Does anyone feel otherwise? Like, I feel like he really wants to fight. I feel like he really wants to fight. I feel like he has one more fight left in him. And I think that whatever happened with the, hey, we wanted, you to fight for X amount, and then he wanted X amount, and we took the offer, whatever it is, I feel like he's willing to meet them now. I feel like the hardball games are over. I don't know. I get the sense that he really wants to fight. And I get the sense that there's a strong possibility that he will fight again. In fact, he spoke backstage to the UFC Brazil crew, and he did confirm.
Not once. That's a direct contradiction to what the fighter was suggesting. The promotion's argument was simple. We went out and found every available option, every possible matchup, every fighter we could realistically get. We explored it all. But this guy, he was never part of that equation from the beginning. The statement was pretty clear. There was no offer because there was never a real negotiation happening in the first place. So
there was an agreement, but it was a much, much different tone than the one that we got a month ago where he said, release me and I'm done being disrespected, this, that, and the other. Remember that whole tweet storm around the time that I was in LA for that press conference and everyone was being asked about it? Take a look at this and just compare it to what we heard from him or read from him a month ago.
Brazil was really, really cheering for you and trying to see if you would face Alex Poitin. It's something that we really, really were dreaming about it.
Yeah. I feel like I wanted to be compensated in a way that I wasn't, and we just had a disagreement, and that happens in life.
Now we have a classic he said, they said situation. And these things get messy real fast. The fighters team claims they were offered insufficient money for an unprecedented opportunity. The promotion claims they never offered anything at all because the fighter wasn't available. Someone is definitely lying here. The stakes are enormous because this fighter's entire reputation is on the line. His legacy depends on people believing his version of events. If the promotion is telling the truth, then he's creating drama over a non-existent, and a fight is on the horizon.
Is that not different? I know he's talking to the UFC, social media broadcast team, UFC Brazil.
It's just impossible to know where he's at because 1 week he's saying, I'm not fighting. I'll never fight again. Jon Jones, the fighter, is dead. And maybe he's saying that because he was frustrated with not getting the White House and he's still, in his feelings a little bit and angry. And now, like he said, getting around the UFC is like, you know what, maybe I do want to do one more fight. But it's just impossible to say. Guessing it is like trying to guess the weather a month from now.
Right.
I just have no idea whether he's going to fight again or not.
It's also best for business for him to do that, to maintain this kind of in and out nature of it. You don't know that, much like we were talking about with AJ, right? You're not in control of this. I'm in control of this, and so sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm out. Make it worth my while.
Deal. If he's telling the truth, then the promotion is trying to save face by pretending they never approached him. Either way, trust just evaporated completely, and trust is everything in these kinds of negotiations. The timing of all this is crucial. Right before the retirement announcement, this fighter was clearly trying to signal something. He was sending messages through his actions and his words. When he posted that video saying the gloves are hung up, when he talked about being the businessman now, it's an even bigger event.
But the one consistent, he's been wishy-washy, he's flip-flopped, he's done all these things throughout the whole saga with Tom Aspinall to this point. The one thing he has been extremely consistent with, has never flip-flopped, has never been wishy-washy about, is the name Alex Pereira. It's always been Alex Pereira. He continues to talk about Alex Pereira. It's very obvious to me that he wants to fight Alex Pereira. If maybe he feels like it's a good matchup, maybe he feels like it does the most for his legacy, that's a sign to me. If I'm the UFC, I try to make that fight. If Alex can get past Ciryl.
Instead of the fighter, he was making a statement about his frustration level. He wasn't being spontaneous. He was being strategic. The retirement video was a power move, a way to grab attention, a way to force the conversation onto his terms. By walking away publicly, he was essentially saying, if you won't meet my value, then I don't need you at all. That's leverage. That's leverage on a massive scale, but it's also incredibly risky because the promotion could simply call his bluff. when the head of the promotion was asked directly about this fighter's reliable.
Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones is huge business.
And then he takes that away from Tom Aspinall.
Yeah. He's Jon Jones.
That's one last FU to Tommy.
He's Jon fucking Jones. I mean,
so what's Tom gonna do?
Tom versus Josh Hokett.
If Tom has
Tom versus Gable,
Tom
John
versus
versus
Gable.
Alex.
One night only.
Yeah.
All of this planning is while Tom doesn't have a timeline. Once Tom has a timeline, then I think it's like, that takes precedence. But until Tom has a timeline, you just have to speculate and keep it moving.
The retirement comments, the response was revealing. The big boss was shown the video where this guy said he's done fighting. He was asked what he thought about losing one of his biggest stars, and the answer? It wasn't what you'd expect from someone panicking about losing a major asset. Instead, there was this underlying tone of skepticism, of doubt, of someone who's heard these threats before and seen them evaporate just as quickly. The head honcho didn't seem particularly worried. He wasn't scrambling to save the deal. He wasn't making emergency calls. He was calm, almost dismissive. That reaction speaks volumes about how seriously the promotion is taking the retirement threat. They've seen this movie before. They know how it ends. Or at least that's what their body language suggested. Here's what makes this entire situation so fascinating. This fighter has built an incredible legacy. Multiple championships, legendary performances, a decade plus of dominance, and yet he's willing to walk away over money. That tells you something important about where his head is at. Either he truly believes he's worth more than $15 million, or he's genuinely